Have you ever had that feeling, that sudden jolt where you realize the year is just over?
Oh, absolutely. It happens every single December.
Right. It's this overwhelming sense that time is just slipping through your fingers. It feels like we just celebrated the start of 2025 and now, boom, here we are looking at a brand new year.
It's a completely universal feeling. And it's a sign, really, that time just accelerates if you aren't deliberate about it.
And that feeling, that panic almost, it pushes us straight into the classic New Year's trap.
The resolutions,
Yeah.
the huge, enthusiastic, but ultimately, well, unsustainable goals.
Exactly. We write them all down on January 1st, and by, what, mid-January, they've just evaporated.
They're gone. And that's really our mission in this deep dive.
Yeah.
We're looking at some source material you found that gives a much more structured approach. It's about moving past that cycle of failure.
So not just wishful thinking.
Not at all. It's a practical strategy for getting closure on the past year and, more importantly, preparing for the next one. But to do that, the source says we need an honest session, an internal audit.
I like that framing. An internal audit. It sounds less like making a wish list and more like, I don't know, financial accountability for your life.
That's a great way to put it. The source actually calls it a chudong se, which really emphasizes that you have to be radically honest with yourself. No excuses.
Okay, so what's the roadmap for this deep dive?
It's basically a two-part process. First, we have to look backward. We need to harvest the real lessons from the last 12 months.
The ones that actually cost us something.
Exactly. And second, we need to make a huge strategic shift. We have to move away from setting those big abstract goals and start establishing simple daily systems.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with that harvest of 2025.
So the core philosophy here is that before you can rush into the future, you have to respect the past.
Which most of us don't do. We just want to forget the mistakes and move on.
Right. But 2025 wasn't just a bunch of days on a calendar. It was a series of data points. The source makes it clear that we learned lessons from our wins, sure, but also from our losses. And sometimes we learn them the hard way.
With real emotional or financial cost.
Precisely. And if you don't process that data, you are basically guaranteeing you're going to pay to learn that same lesson all over again.
This is where a lot of year-end reflection just falls apart, though. It's too generic. You know, people make a list of 5 good things, 5 bad things, and that's it. But this source is asking for something much more specific.
It is. It's demanding. It asks you to identify the single most powerful lesson you learned all year.
How do you even do that? How do you filter a whole year of experience down into one single takeaway?
Well, you don't just guess. The source suggests you think about the major pillars of your life. Maybe it's career, finances, relationships.
Okay.
And you ask yourself, in which of those areas did I have the biggest failure? Or maybe the most surprising success? Once you find the area, you look for the mechanism behind it. What actually caused that result?
Can you give us an example, something that makes that simplicity really clear?
Yeah, the source gives a perfect one. The lesson might be as simple as this. Consistency is more important than enthusiasm.
Oof. That one hits home.
It does for most people. Think about a goal you had, maybe learning a new skill. You probably started with these huge bursts of enthusiasm, right? 8 hours on a Saturday.
Followed by 2 weeks of absolutely nothing.
Exactly. The enthusiasm was there, it was massive, but the result was zero because there was no consistency. If you can identify that gap, that's an incredibly powerful lesson to carry forward.
That distinction, consistency over enthusiasm, that feels like a total game changer. Enthusiasm is finite, it's emotional, it comes and it goes.
It's unreliable. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this whole reflection phase is about grounding your future plans in reality.
You're not building on wishful thinking anymore.
You're building on verified data points from your own life. Without that honest session, your goals for 2026 are just castles in the air, ready to collapse the second your mood changes.
And repeating those same patterns, that lack of a real foundation, brings us right to the next section. Avoiding what the source calls the trap of beginnings, the Asia Carre.
And this trap is so insidious because it's fueled by all that positive New Year energy.
But it's directed at the wrong thing.
Entirely the wrong thing. It's all about focusing on the big, magnificent final result. People get so excited about the outcome they want, they completely skip thinking about the steps to get there.
Right. We're just staring at the finish line. We see the final product. The source gives some perfect examples of this, right?
It does. People want a fit body by summer. They want 1 million views on their content. They want to be fluent in a new language. It's all outcome, outcome, outcome.
And the source says that's precisely the problem. That's the failure point.
It is. The failure point is forgetting the system, the single sure. When your goal is that big and that distant, like a fit body, it creates a ton of friction.
What do you mean by friction?
Decision fatigue. You have to make 1,000 tiny decisions every day. What do I eat? When do I work out? For how long? All that fresh January energy gets burned just making choices, not actually doing the work.
So the process feels exhausting before you even really start. You're constantly choosing between this giant goal and, the easy comfort of just staying on the couch. And the couch wins most of the time.
9 times out of 10. A system, the NISAM, is designed to automate those hard parts. It reduces the friction.
It takes the decision-making out of it.
Exactly. When you only focus on the outcome, the moment that initial wave of enthusiasm fades, and it always does, you're just left with this huge, draining goal and no clear path forward. You forgot to build the road because you were too busy looking at the mountain.
Okay, I get the focus on systems, but don't you still need a goal? I mean, doesn't a goal give the system a direction? How do you build the right system if you don't know where you're going?
That's a really sharp point. You don't get rid of the outcome completely. The goal acts as your compass. It tells you which way is north.
Okay.
But the habit, the system, that's the engine that actually moves you. The key is shifting where you put your energy. You move it from the future result, which you can't control, to the daily behavior, which you can control perfectly.
And that pivot is where it gets really interesting. This is what the source calls the golden advice.
It is. The core idea is deceptively simple. In the new year, don't set goals, set habits.
Don't set goals, set habits.
Right, because habits create the system. They work whether you feel motivated or not. They take advantage of the compound effect, where tiny, consistent actions add up to something huge over time.
Let's use the source as examples here, because this contrast is probably the most useful advice anyone will hear this year.
Okay, so the goal-focused approach, the one that falls into the trap, says, I will read 20 books this year.
Which sounds great, but it's massive. It's daunting. And if you have a busy month and fall behind, you feel like you've already failed.
And you just abandon the whole thing. But the habit setter, using this golden advice, does something different.
They focus on the system.
Entirely on the system. They say, I will read for 10 minutes before bed. That's it.
That's the habit. It's small. It's not threatening. It's just about building a rhythm. The friction is basically zero.
And that little 10-minute habit is the secret. It's a micro-commitment that serves as an on-ramp. You're not trying to read a whole book. You're just trying to open the book for 10 minutes. The source puts this so well. The key is in the small things that you do when no one sees you.
That makes 2026 the year of silent work.
Oh, see, I love that term, silent work. It removes the pressure. You're not doing it for Instagram. You're not doing it to show off. You're just building a system for yourself.
And it goes even deeper than that. It touches on your identity. You stop being someone who wants to read 20 books and you start becoming a reader.
That's a powerful shift.
Every time you do that 10-minute habit, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. And that quiet, consistent, silent work is what inevitably leads to those resounding results.
What's so fascinating is how this changes your whole approach to learning or applying knowledge. It's not about mastering a huge topic by Friday.
No.
It's just, I'm going to review my notes for 5 minutes while my coffee brews. That's a system you can actually sustain. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The application of knowledge becomes consistent and becomes way less overwhelming. This is the foundation we need.
Now, the source material briefly mentions its own community, noting that our family here has grown incredibly and promising more content. And it's a good reminder that even big external things like growing a community rely on those same principles of quiet, consistent work behind the scenes.
That's a perfect connection to make.
Mhm.
And that idea really sets the stage for the final mandate for the listener, which is all about empowerment. The whole deep dive, the reflection, avoiding the trap, building habits, it all leads to this core message about agency.
The idea that 2026 is a blank slate.
Exactly. The source uses this beautiful image. 2026 is a blank book, and the pen is in your hand.
That's so important. It's about taking ownership. We can't let circumstances or the news or just the chaos of the world write our story for us. The source urges us to write it yourself.
And you write it using those quiet, powerful habits. They dictate the plot of your year. The ultimate goal isn't just one big achievement. It's a state of being.
A year filled with health, success, and peace of mind. And that outcome isn't something you chase. It's the natural byproduct of having a solid system in place.
Right.
So what does this all mean?
It means that real success in the new year has very little to do with the big, ambitious goals we announce on January 1st.
And it has everything to do with the small, consistent systems we build in private.
Exactly. The energy of January shouldn't be about trying to conquer the whole mountain in one go. It should be about just taking the first 10 steps, and then another 10 the next day, knowing that those small steps, take it over and over, are what will actually get you to the summit.
And if that silent work is really the key to those resounding results, then the time to start isn't January 1st. The time to start is now. So here's the thought I want to leave you with. What is one single, small, 10-minute habit, a micro commitment that you can establish right now to guarantee that you write the very first page of your 2026 story yourself instead of waiting for tomorrow to write it for you?